Here we go. 2 hours. Just us. And a couple of guests.
No, just one guy.
Just one today.
This one?
A lot of me, a lot of you, a lot of Sam.
We are the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, in for Jen Rolnick, James Wilson.
Jimmy Willie.
Wilson!
So last night I went to the Dundas Legion to sign up for my softball league, which it's like a get-together for everybody in the league. You all see each other, and it was before puck drop or whatever. So I went there for a half hour to an hour, watched the first period there. Boys got lots of fans at the Legion.
At the Legion.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
You have a couple
boy.
of bat blues or what?
I had a couple blue lights. Don't tell the bosses. Had a couple blue lights before Leafs talk. So
Wow.
And people kept coming up to me. I love that show. You guys are so great. Kyper, you does such a great job. Everybody at the Legion loves the show. So we're a big Legion show. So shout out the Legion.
Buddy, love the Legion.
Are they as big of a fan as Furco yesterday?
Oh,
and
shout
his
out to
lovely,
Furco and Nelly.
his wife, thanks to Ivanka Osmak, brought them in. And not only did they come in and tell us they're big fans, we left with like a package from them. Like all these Dutch treats were like off the charts.
From the Netherlands. You go through that pack?
Oh my God, the chocolate,
I know.
toffee
It's like,
chocolate.
It's like a soft Toblerone.
And I'm supposed to be off sugar.
How's that going for you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting ready for the playoffs, man.
Oh, that's why you wouldn't take one of the Timbits that I was offering.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
No,
So,
but
Well,
thanks to
whether
them, we
you're the
appreciate
Legion or Furco, we're glad you're aboard for the next 2 hours on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, wherever you're watching, listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6 p.m. And when you don't get us live, download us wherever you get your pods.
Yes.
And as we close into the week, a few more texts, keep sending them. So what's the deal, Sammy, when it comes to text? Because we tell people to text, and then you, at some point later on the show, you get overwhelmed and you get all these ones coming in too quick and you can't catch up. So what do we need to tell everybody?
I need access.
no,
We all need access.
you guys don't want access.
We have great texts, but they don't get to us because you're
He's
slow.
the gatekeeper.
I am the gatekeeper, but lison, you don't want to hear a lot of it.
Really? Are they ripping us?
Not as complimentary. Yeah.
Sometimes there's been known to be a couple.
You holding out on us?
The only thing that
We can take it.
that really gets to the text line is when Jen or Jimmy Willie, whoever's running up there, puts up the graphic that says "text us,"
Yeah.
and we're in the national hour, and the Leafs happen to come up in the national hour.
Oh.
They start
Are they
flying
not
in from
a team in the National League?
what's 780 is Vancouver area code starts flying in. Edmonton area code starts flying in.
604,
Yeah, is it-
250s.
Well, I'm smart enough.
780s
Is,
BC as well.
is
Yeah.
Edmonton or I don't know.
I'm
But it's out
smart.
there.
I'm smart enough in our national hour to avoid the Leaf talk. But Sammy, you just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
driving us right back into the ditch.
I am who I am, man.
That's okay.
We
I'm
don't
here
want you
for
to
a
be
reason.
anyone but that.
Well, you've got the first full hour. It's a Leaf edition.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto Maple Leafs lose 6-3 to the New Jersey Devils. But we're going to focus in the next hour just on the first period and how great the analytics were. JB, you go first.
I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think that's what anyone wants to do.
Hold on.
Disappointing after a 25 or 26 shot first period.
Does it really matter?
I mean,
Seriously,
no,
does it really
no,
matter?
No.
Does
Doesn't
what
matter
really
which.
matter?
25 shots in the
But
dominating.
it does matter for me in terms of how it shaped the game. Would you like to know how?
I would love it.
I have a couple theories about the Toronto Maple Leafs, as you know, and you hear them often. One of them are that when the Leafs think it's going to be easy, they're dog poop. And I think a 26-shot period when you go in, down or not, you could be, forgiven for thinking it might be easy. So that's thought number one. The other thing with the Leafs is that when they have a lot of shots and pucks don't go in, they get frustrated and they cheat. And this has gone back to Columbus in playoffs, Montreal in playoffs. They leave themselves open to quick strikes against because they push and it's not going in. They get offensively obsessed. And then the puck goes the other way. So it was the worst case scenario for them. Thought it was going to be easy. Got frustrated. Nobody played any defense. That's been Real Kyper and Bourne. Thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.
How are you feeling if you're a Devils fan watching what Jake Allen did? Can we have got him a month and a half earlier?
What did not having Allen cost them this year? 10 points?
Like, they needed league average goaltending.
So we'll get to them. Just take it easy over there.
Sorry.
Okay? I got to go back to my guy here. What is that line in the movie? You had me at hello.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
You lost me at when they think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
I'm done after that. All I need to hear are those words from you, and this team is doomed. If you ever have that in your head right now, you're done.
Done.
You're done. Like, at what point did you ever think anything's easy anywhere, anytime, any place?
Life is very hard.
Whether you're playing the New Jersey Devils or you're getting ready to play Florida or Boston, where after 6 or 7 years, some of these leaders on this club would ever come in and think at any point it was going to be easy?
At the very least, you could see them thinking it would be offensively easy. You know, I think they're third in the NHL in goals for per game, something like that right now. And they had the puck the whole first period. They had the puck, and they got tons of touches, and it must have just felt like, this is a blast. I'm having a great time out here. And that's not a great mindset for an NHL hockey game against Jack Hughes and Timo Meier and Luke Hughes and the rest of very good players.
Sheldon, and we're going to get to
How did he feel?
Kyper's Clippers, which are probably going to star our whole show. Right?
Yeah.
Like, he had some choice words last night that there's nothing that we can say in the next hour will trump that.
No. I have run into a number of people today who've been like, what's up with Keefe right now? Like, what's going on with him? Is he losing it or what? You know, like.
I think he's looking at less than a dozen games right now. He's not liking what he sees. And he knows where this is heading if this thing does not get straightened out.
To the guillotine, and then maybe for him after that too?
Why wouldn't you think that?
You could be looking at 19 more games coaching the Leafs.
You just
less, right? I mean,
they have 12 left?
11 left,
11,
I think, and then,
7 in the first round?
Yeah.
Last night, he looked across his bench, and he saw a coach that replaced a coach who just signed a new extension before the season. And
Lindy had just signed.
Lindy had just signed an extension, and Lindy is no longer there.
I mean, Daryl Sutter's another recent example. It's not. This isn't us saying like he should get, but you would see how he could think.
No, you asked me
too.
like what's going on with him.
Yes.
How is that not in the back of his mind that
we need this together?
Like if this thing does not come together soon here, and we have a very good showing in the playoffs, my ass is on the line here. How can he not feel that?
I'm sure he does. I'm sure in his heart of hearts, that's part of what he's coaching for every day, is to hang on to that job, which is the one you want to have. It's an Ontario boy.
You want to go to Sheldon, or you got any?
Let's go to clip one.
Oh, boy.
Overview of the game.
You know, instead of having a strong period and building on it and continue to do the things that we had done well, I thought we just overdid it. It was just really immature all the way through our game. I thought it was immature from our most experienced players and our leaders. And then our players who are immature, our inexperienced guys. I mean, we made lots of mistakes here today. First period, Bobby McMahon gives up a 2-on-1, doesn't do his job there. And Homer Ignazi get caught on one goal. Our fourth line, Camphor out there, like our third and fourth line, give up goals in the second period. So top and bottom in the second period, just not good enough. And you're playing against a team that's among the most dangerous teams in the NHL offensively, and they want to play the game like that in terms of countering and getting behind you. Jack Hughes gets 2 breakaways. You're not winning the game if that's going to be the case. So hated lots about our game tonight, and hopefully the players hated it just as much or more than I do.
Hey. He watched some video clips in that coach's room, got fired up before he did that interview. I would bet money on it.
I don't know what is being said, for instance, in between the second and third period. Like, are you...
Poach?
No
one's saying that.
Are you ripping them? Are you laying into them? Or can you see it before, after the game? We had heard the post-game comments also from Austin Matthews. He also used the word immature.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the first. Like I listened.
That's Pee-wee stuff.
I listened to Matthews in the effort to get something to play today because I always listen through all the stuff, and I couldn't even cut it. It's the same tone. It's like you see the quotes, but to hear the tone,
Well,
it's the exact same tone it always is.
He would never use the word immature unless Sheldon used it first. So
Bingo.
Correct.
the question is, does Sheldon use it at any point before the game, during the game, or is it heard after the game? Because to me, that's a big difference. It's too late. It's too late to turn it around. And coaches will do some things to try to save a game or to turn a game around. It could come from, a temper tantrum either on the bench from Paul Maurice last March. It could come in between periods. Trays have been poured over, from Gatorades to chairs thrown to punching a chalkboard. There's many ways to try to get the attention of your players.
Are those all just Keenan?
While there's still a chance to turn something around. I just don't know whether or not you want to save the word immature for your post-game comments after the game's over, so just a guy like Austin can just rip it off and use it himself.
I just don't know, right? Like, we don't know.
Don't know. But I'm telling you, it looks like the things aren't said until it's over.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't think that Sheldon went in there after 2 and went, keep it up. Like, that's not the vibe. I wouldn't think. I don't know what he would have said, but it certainly didn't turn anything because that third period was more.
It just seems like we've seen nights like this during the regular season. They can't nip it in the bud.
No.
Well, I mean, going back to what I was talking about yesterday, it's like, how do you convince these guys, the top guys, the immature guys that he's saying the guys that he was saying played immature? How do you convince them that the exact same situation that they've been in for 5 years at the end of the season where they're cruising to the finish line is any different than the last 5 years?
Yeah.
How do you go in there and look at them all where they all know what the stakes are? They all know they're just in cruise control to the playoffs. And I know that shouldn't be the way. And I know they should be ramping it back up. But it's human nature. Like, you're going to have these duds.
See, I disagree with you. It's not human nature. If you told me right now they sat at the top of the Eastern Conference, then I would be more apt to believe you that it's human nature.
Yeah.
They're going to pick up the last wild card spot here.
It doesn't matter who they play.
No. The sense of urgency should be that we aren't as good of a team as we were last year or the year before. We've regressed. We all sat here in September and said, and I'm the first to admit it, teams should win the Atlantic Division. They're as good, or they should be better than the Boston Bruins. They just lost their captain. They just lost a great two-way centerman in Krejci. Like, this is shaped up for the Leafs to win the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. They're not close to Boston and Florida right now. Where is the sense of we're okay, Sammy? Where is it that they should feel like we got nothing to play for here and we're in a comfort zone?
It's not that they have nothing to play for. I just think that they know they're making the playoffs. They're going into this stretch here where they're playing. I guess those 2 games they have the games against Florida, so those are ones that they can get up for. But they're looking at the rest of the schedule. They know it's a slog. They're making the playoffs. They don't care who they play. It's all the same to them. Like, oh, we're going to play Boston. Great. We're going to play Florida. They have ghosts against everyone. Like, there's no team that they like own. Everyone wants to play them. Like, I don't know how Keefe's message can get through to these guys that they're immature when it's just been the same group doing the same thing for the 5 years. Like, I don't understand how it can be any different.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over every year. Cruise control, last 20 games.
Do you think last night would have been, and I'm not sure where I sit on his comments on John Tavares, but I think he called him out, but he didn't really call him out. I'm not.
He called him out.
He called him out. You think?
We have it.
Yeah.
Clip 4.
Okay, let's go to it.
John Tavares has been the example for us. He's been outstanding for us for a long period of time. He himself got carried away tonight. That's our captain. So if that's going to happen, well, the rest of our benches now, we're just making it up as we go. When you do that, you open the door for the opposition to have a good night. And they did that. And I thought, the last goal at the end of the third period there, that's indicative of our second and third periods.
Okay, yeah. I heard it much clearer here. But
You got carried away.
He gives him he gave him a compliment with been outstanding, but I'm going to use you as the example here, and I'll go to the top with my captain. Should he have just stopped at Tavares? Could he have not pulled in Austin Matthews, who I thought
he was asked about Matthews and Nylander. He was asked about those guys, and then he brought them up.
Yeah,
he brought him up when he was asked about those guys. So he's very good to Tavares in the media. Like, I really find that he's very good to him. And I was racking my brain after the game last night, trying to think of any other time he's ever called him out like this specifically. Like, he said, oh, he needs to get going. But to really say that, he's searching, boys. Like, I feel like he's really, he's pulling the emergency levers right now.
But last night, the disappointment in his leadership group, and Morgan wasn't there, and no question that had a different look to the Toronto Maple Leafs, a guy that can't skate. They didn't have too many guys that could skate a puck out of the zone last night.
No.
Or break a puck out of the zone.
Right.
But, like, Austin Matthews was a giveaway machine last night. I've never seen him give up the puck so much last night. And I don't even know what I don't know what the official word was on his giveaways, but if they were under half a dozen, that would have been generous by the scorekeeper.
It looked like a team playing for stats, playing for offense, just looking to have a 7-6 night and outscore a team they seem to think was not as good as them, which, they got their kick teeth in for. But you saw, like, where's F3? He actually called out McMahon specifically, don't get too big for your britches here. If you want to start playing up the lineup, we need you to, cover when a guy pinches. And, you give up these kind of quick strike opportunities. That 2-on-1 goal is a 3/4 length of the rink goal with two very good goal scorers.
You know how I feel about the Leafs over the last few years with their untimely pinches and late period pinches.
Yeah.
Unless you're 100% sure, you don't go. That was Jake McCabe.
But, I mean, he's got a guy that's supposed to fold under, and he has to trust that guy's going to do that so he can play aggressively.
That's his game. If he's not doing that, then
what? Then what? You just stay back and play the percentages.
Yeah, but that's part of what makes Jake McCabe.
No,
is playing
but I get your point.
It's what
with him.
It's what makes the Toronto Maple Leafs the Toronto Maple Leafs too.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because I'm watching, to your point earlier, and you said this. You just want to trade chances here. You just want to go and get the next goal. And not really deal with what's left behind you if you don't get the goal.
Right.
And that's, to me, is just what I've been watching from the Leafs the last 2 years. It's the mentality of, we're going to trade chances. And I got no problem with that. And if we don't score with this aggressive play, well, let's just worry about what happens defensively later.
Well, that's like the Domi goal that makes it 5-3. They're down a goal in a game where he throws a complete Galchenyuk pizza through the gut, and you're like, okay, we're getting it out in the regular season. We're definitely not going to do that in 3 weeks, right?
So just to cross off or to finish up the conversation on Tavares.
Yeah.
he was asked about it again this morning at Morning Skate, where he addressed it again. So we can play that clip and kind of finish off that combo.
I brought John up yesterday, as I did in the room with the team, because I think he's our leader and he's got to set the tone for our group. And so that's sometimes it's part of his play. Sometimes it's as the captain to help bring the group back when they're slipping, when others are slipping. And I just really added him to the list of our best players from last night. And
so there you go. He used him as an example in the room. He used him as an example in the media.
It's
That's
fine,
interesting
but
that you used him in the room.
can John grab anybody in that room by the collar and go, "We need better out of you"?
Well, not when he's the guy getting called out. Certainly not.
Yeah, I don't know. Really,
Do they have anybody out there in that room that can grab, rattle the chain a little bit here?
Do you think so?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
And how much of a problem is that, not having that?
Well, it's been a problem the last few years, I think, when the chips are down.
I guess let me ask you, is last night to you indicative of the type of team they are? Does it tell you something about their odds of winning in playoffs? Or is that to you a team that sometimes plays these games and just takes nights off, which, maybe that shows up in playoffs, but you think not?
I wish they had the track record that suggests that you're right, that they just pick their spots right now.
I'm not making that suggestion.
They don't. I wish they had a better track record of winning when the chips are down.
Yeah.
And they don't. And that's the worrisome right now is that when it gets really tough or gets really hard, there's just every man for himself.
You think of some of the best games the Leafs have played. When they lost to Tampa, was it in Game 7 that they lost? Was it at home?
All of them are 7.
Yes. Well, no, they won in 6 last year.
Oh, no, the losses, all 7.
Yeah, losses, all 7. Like, there are games like that where, like, they played a good hockey game against that Tampa Bay team. They lost 2-1. Tavares gets one called back on the Justin Hall pick.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, don't you?
Don't recall.
There are these games where you're like, they can play in these big moments and big stakes and big whatever. But I know what you mean, Kip, where it's like they can't do it every time.
There's that world famous hockey cliche. Mm-hmm. Do you know which one it is?
Well, about to find out.
Pucks in deep.
No.
Give it 110%.
No.
Feel good, play good.
No.
You just got to do the right thing, be a good pro. I don't know. What is it?
Close. Just play the right way.
Oh, yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
they've never been that.
We've all been around the game. We can have a sense when you feel like a team is playing the right way, which means being on the right side of the puck defensively.
Yeah.
That if it doesn't work out a certain way, it's okay. I'm covered. I'm covering your back. Like you can see that during a hockey game.
For sure.
You don't get the sense of that, especially last night in the second and the third, that they are willing when the chips, backs against the wall, whatever cliche you want to use on that one, that they have the ability to play the right way.
We do have the quote from Keefe on, do you look at it as a one-off, which I didn't even realize and asked that very question of you. So let's hear what Sheldon has to say.
Look at it as a one-off or
well, it has happened a lot for our group over the years. And I'm talking about the experienced people, and that came back tonight. And I thought the game invited it, right? It's 25 shots. If everybody's feeling great, you got lots of puck touches. You think it's going to happen again, and you're going to stay with it. I don't know if anybody's ever got 75 shots in a game before, but I don't think it happens. Usually things adjust and the opposition, pushes back. The game kind of tidies up a little bit. But I just thought we got incredibly sloppy and careless, and that's disappointing. But to your...
That's not a one-off.
No.
The Otis on attack had 73 shots in a game once.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Petrus Palmy had 20.
Regular OT?
No, regulation.
Wow.
In a playoff game. So there you go. Like, it can happen. So I think the biggest worry is that, even within these playoff series that you're talking about, Borny, where they've had great performances and they've played well in big games.
For sure.
Even within those series, they've had awful ones.
Last year they win the series and they lose 7-2 game 1 or something.
Yeah, I remember game 5. Was it 2 years ago where they were up going down there and they lost? I remember because my cousin went to the game and he went as my cousin. He's a Floridian, but he was wearing a Leafs shirt and he took it off and left because they were losing 5-0 after the first or second period. They do lay eggs within these series, and it's kind of like a microcosm of the regular season where it's I don't know.
We think it matters.
I don't know.
There is a sense for me that they love their goals.
Sure.
And they're willing to take chances on their goals.
Yeah. And you need them to. But anyway, carry on.
You do, but last night again, I'm watching and Austin scores his 59th and Willie gets his 40th. I mean, huge accomplishment for sure. Get all of that. But they are typical goals for them where Austin's got to make a great play at the blue line, turn around in a fairly...
All 3 goals are stretch goals.
They're stretch goals, but they're individual effort goals. They're get me the puck and I'll do the rest goals. And even Willie's on his 40th, he comes through the neutral zone. I don't know if you saw that interview with Willie, and it's Timmins made a great play. He passed me the puck.
Yeah.
He's also pissed off at McMahon for not passing him the puck.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's you just pass me the puck and I'll do the rest. And I'll go in there and I'll dance and I'll weave and I'll shoot it in the net and everybody's happy, which is okay on occasion during the regular season. But those type of goals don't really kind of look consistent in the playoffs.
It was the worst of their worst tendencies, where it is a lot of hope passes. Well, if I throw this in front of that and one of our guys is there, it's going to be a goal. Oh, it's their team. A lot of throwing the puck away, not a whole lot of ragging it, maintaining pressure. And to your point, individual efforts and all that. So,
but it's not really an inclusive goal. They're not snapping it around. I'm watching again. McKinnon and Rantanen, and it's on Rantanen's stick for all but 2 seconds, and it's on McKinnon's boom in the net, and it's snapping it around, looking great. Everybody's in.
Then they lost 2-1 to the Habs. What the hell happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, the criticism last night is not their offense was poor. That I just don't think that's a takeaway for me. Their offense, they get 3, they get 45 shots. To me,
that's the end result, but the offense is a problem because it leads to poor defense.
If that's the case, then sure, it's a good point. Because that is the end result, is that they give up so many this way with no one considering it. It's not even a thought. It's not even a thought during the play that, if this doesn't work out, what happens? What becomes of what's next? I do want to hear, is clip 9 worth hearing now about the timing of the dip? Are we concerned with this timing? Because it is 11 games till playoffs now.
Yep.
Here, clip 9.
You play 82 games. You're going to get a little bit of something all the time. Yeah, the time of the year, but I hope we don't have these dips. But as I mentioned, it's not common. You go play a game, you get 25 shots on goal, and you're feeling great, and everything's going. And might have been one of our best periods of the season offensively. Everybody's feeling it, and everybody thinks they're going to have a great night, and then starts to get away on you. It's different. It's not normal. That wasn't the NHL in the first period yesterday, right? That doesn't happen all the time. So it's a different night, and then you consider who we have out of the lineup in terms of their leadership and abilities and all those kind of things, and there's a bit of the recipe for some of those things to happen. Third game in 4 nights, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to bring it up to their attention and let them know we're not happy about it. And you're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. And based on the way our group has been over the last couple of months, I'm expecting that it won't. And we press on.
It is quite remarkable that you can look tight on a Saturday night. Got off to an amazing start against Edmonton, put the game away, and have a feel like they're building towards a playoff
That's why it's so
series.
weird.
And then you go to Tuesday, and it's shinny hockey, Tuesday night at Chestwood Arena.
It is interesting that he noted, you look at the guys you have out, and he's talking about Marner, Riley, Edmondson, who, I don't know if you count Edmondson in that group yet, but as
Aaron Kroc.
Yarn Croc, like older veteran guys who do it the right way, somewhat defensively responsible, depending how you feel about Riley. He at least thinks about that kind of game. I wonder how much of this is a little bit like the Leafs didn't have their parents in the lineup. They didn't have the supervision of Morgan and those guys, but I don't know. He seemed to make note of it. I think that's interesting that he felt that affected them in some way. So no practice today, though.
But they were going to have a practice, and then they turned it into a skill session at the last minute. So if you are
what does that mean, skill session? Like they invited the fans and then they measured how hard their shot is?
Yeah.
Why don't we listen to clip 10 to hear about it?
Okay.
A couple things. We were mindful of the fact we just played 3 games in 4 nights, but quite frankly, we had a few players that I expected to be available for practice today that played last night that were not available to practice today. So all of a sudden our numbers were real light. And many of the things I wanted to do today were not going to be possible with less people. So I felt if it was going to be more of a flowing type practice, then we can do that tomorrow morning and capitalize on the rest here today.
Now who's hurt?
Don't they play tomorrow?
They do.
Yeah. It is interesting.
Turning a morning warm-up skate into a practice. I'm okay with it. If that's what he wants.
That time of year.
I'm okay with it.
To say that you don't have enough guys to do what you want to do means he wants to do 5-on-5 stuff, which probably means he's talking about rotations and stuff like that, which clearly were an issue last night.
Okay, we want to take a break, or we want to...
we'll take a break, and then maybe we'll talk about Marner, some goaltending.
Joseph Woll we'll get into. Plenty more to dissect off of not a good game by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Loser 6-3 to the New Jersey Devils.
Is better when they lose.
We're only warming up here. Don't go away. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee in our Leaf edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Joseph Woll. First goal, first shot. I think my alumni brother, Mike Johnson, mentioned could have dipped a little bit, knuckleball, but
He called it a sinker.
I'm not buying that.
I believe him that it's
Oh, I believe him too, but
doesn't mean you shouldn't save it.
Stop the puck.
You got to hit sinkers in Major League Baseball too.
Should have sunk right under his blocker.
But this is an opportunity here where Samsonov leaves Saturday night, leaves the week open for Joseph Woll to pick up some momentum.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on him last night?
Well, you're right. I think that the door was wide open. Everyone was very excited about how he played in his last start. And I think there was already that push for, he's quieter, he's calmer, he's looking like himself again.
Yeah.
And this was like, okay, go do it again. So, yeah, disappointing that the first one goes in, to say the very least. And then, he ended with his lowest save percentage of his career in an NHL game, 780 something or other. So, yeah, not good. A little concerned for sure. It's an unscreened shot to kick it off. So it doesn't write him off or anything for me, but tough night.
And he's getting to start again Thursday.
He is?
He is.
Samsonov still not right, huh?
He said that he's going to, I guess, get him.
Well, they're not practicing, right? So, how
he
much
was in pads or whatever today. That's what they said. But, he's not playing tomorrow. Woll's going to go. But last night, the inconsistency since he's come back from the injury, the up and down nature of it concerns me, because that wasn't the MO before the injury.
No.
Where the MO before the injury was that he's just solid. He's not flashy, but he's not going to be letting in the number of goals that he's letting in, and it hasn't looked pretty.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about it.
Yeah. I just want to say the 2-on-1 goal that Heishier, the offhand one-timer, you know how hard that shot is to hit as perfectly as he did? That's a beautiful shot. That's all I'm saying.
And a great move by Jack Hughes to go back in.
I hate that one.
And
it's the only place he can go there.
What?
I hate that one.
Oh, yeah.
just one thing on the knuckleball from Luke Hughes, too, is, I'm sorry, but he can also back in up until the tops of the circle. I think it was Labushkin either.
Yeah.
Right? It's not an odd man
great
rush.
gap. For a guy who's pretty good at keeping gaps.
Yes.
But
yeah. So,
should we listen to the coach?
On Joseph Woll?
Yeah, let's do it right after the game, clip 3. We'll start there.
We can't let in the first shot of the game, but, that's 2 in a row now. But the chances we gave up tonight are egregious. There's lots of issues in front of them.
Okay. Yeah. So then there's another clip in there from today, him talking about him getting the start here. So go clip 7 there, Derek.
Yeah, I think it's a good chance for him, right now to get back in there. And I thought he had a really strong game, as we had talked about in Carolina, and then not as strong yesterday, like the group in front of him, which the group in front of him made life much harder on him. But yeah, it's a good chance to get back in there, both in what happened last night and also just, with Samsonov, on a bit of a pause here. It gives Joe a chance to get his workload up.
All right.
On a bit of a pause.
A bit of a pause here.
He hasn't got a clue who his number 1 goalie will be.
You can't tell me
April.
You're not thinking about the Amazon series either right now, where going into playoffs, they're looking out of the ice going, is Freddie on the ice? Can Freddie play? Is Freddie, he's in a tracksuit. What does that mean? Where you're just like, can we just have a goalie going into playoffs?
I mean, I don't know, want to belabor the point, but if you got 2.
You don't got 1.
You don't got 1.
Is that bad English? Felt like bad English.
Like, I mean, the quarterback thing, you got 2, you don't got 1.
Yeah.
You got 2 goalies. You're, like, he has no idea. You're right. Exactly.
11 games left. Don't know who the Leaf starter is in playoffs. Otherwise, things are fine.
Don't have 1 line combination. Don't have 1 D pairing you trust. But other than that.
So, Washington tomorrow night.
Red hot.
Buffalo Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just a split at this point?
A split? You need 2 wins.
No, I'm saying Woll tomorrow night, Samsonov Saturday night, and you go from there.
Yeah. We're not going from anywhere. We're not going from anywhere. We're going to get to game 80, and you're going to look at the last 2, which is Florida-Tampa back-to-back in the state of Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And you'll decide, is it going to be Martin Jones, or does someone need to play? Are we still making a decision right up to the end here?
I don't know.
No one does. I don't even blame him. What more could you do? Like, what would a different coach have done with these 2 guys the way they've played this year?
Nothing. And then game 1 starts, and from the rafters comes Matt Murray.
Dun, 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 dun.
My God.
6'4", 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
So, despite losing last night, the Leafs are viewed as a top 10 team in the league.
They're definitely on the fringe of that.
Okay, 10, 11.
Yes.
Okay, but top 10.
I said that.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the top 10 that has a bigger question mark in net above them than the Toronto Maple Leafs?
In the league, the Toronto Maple Leafs by points
Carolina?
percentage are 11th by points percentage in the league.
They've been the 11th best team.
All right.
Wow.
So okay, Carolina, Freddie Anderson.
If he's healthy, he plays.
He's it.
He plays.
I agree with him.
If Freddie Anderson is on the Toronto Maple Leafs and they have Woll and Samsonov too, who starts game 1?
Well, Freddie Anderson.
Yeah.
Probably lets in 3 cheapies, but he starts.
Nashville, no question.
Yeah.
Edmonton, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Skinner all day long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
but
Skinner, no.
It's not a great option.
No, I'm not. I don't care what happens
saying,
after
who- do
game
they
1.
know?
I'm not saying who's going to be great. I'm just saying who knows.
Yeah.
No questions asked with 10 games to go.
Mhm.
Winnipeg,
Yeah.
no questions asked. Florida, no questions asked. Colorado, no questions asked. Boston, Swayman, no questions asked, with Allmark right there to pick up anything.
Is Ottinger going to play himself out of chaos here?
Ottinger is Dallas's guy. Go big or go home. And Shesterkin.
And Demko when he gets healthy.
And Demko in Vancouver.
He went on LTIR today.
Yeah. And Demko.
Yeah.
So they're it. The Leafs are really the only.
I mean, it's super uncommon, Kip. You do this any year. I can't ever remember a playoff-bound team not knowing who their guy is.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, Vegas.
Last year, kind of with the Bruins, too, between Allmark and Swayman.
But that was because they had 2 Vezina candidates. They won the Jennings.
Yeah.
It's Swayman.
Yeah, but
Last year it was Allmark.
Yeah.
And didn't they
That's
start?
right.
Didn't they start
Buddy, they
Swayman
went
game
6
7?
with, and they went 6 with Allmark when they probably should have made a pivot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking at the standings here. I have them in front of me. I don't know if Jimmy Willie's going to pull them up there for us. But the Leafs now are 4 points clear on Tampa. Tampa, they played the same amount of games.
And they play head-to-head twice.
Yeah.
And Tampa has the tiebreaker, meaning it is within the Lightning's hands now.
So does it matter to you? Are you not trying to lose, clearly, but like, do you want to be ahead of Tampa? Like, if Tampa goes by you, is it the worst thing in the world?
I think it's such a dangerous conversation you're having if you want to have that leak into the Leaf management.
Well, listen, they don't listen to this show.
No.
But I'm talking to you guys.
What I'm telling you is I don't care. They play like they did last night. They will lose to Florida, Tampa Bay, Boston. Take your pick.
Can I tell you?
It won't matter.
The worst sports argument that people make, which I absolutely loathe, it doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't. You gotta beat whoever. You gotta beat the best to be the best. It matters who you play. A great deal. I remember that for years people have said with the Leafs.
But it's not more important than how you're playing.
It's definitely not more important. You're right. How you're playing is the first
that's
most
the
important
top
thing.
of the priority list.
Yes.
Not looking at the standings like Sammy and trying
I
to.
don't play for the
That's
team.
exactly it. They shouldn't do it.
I'm a
We
fan
sure can.
of the team. And to me, the Rangers, the first team, by the way, to clinch a playoff spot. So I guess you're still going to end up with Boston or Florida, right? Is that
No.
how it works?
No, I mean the
first
wild
overall,
card
yeah.
one, as
Yes.
in the better of the two,
Yeah.
will play the worst division winner.
Yes.
So great.
As of today, that would be Boston. Correct.
You can't escape it. You can't escape it.
Wild card two, yeah.
But I just don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world to go to just a
Go play
different
the
division.
Metro. Yeah, but that was
See a different-
Columbus.
do you-
That was Montreal.
No, it wasn't. No, Montreal's in the division. It's not that. It's just do something different. Don't go into Boston. Don't go into Florida. Don't go into Tampa. Try something else, maybe. I'm searching here, boys.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go outside with shorts and a Leafs shirt on. I don't want it to be over by the end of April.
Please win.
Yeah.
Florida. Let's go. Leafs, Florida.
TJ Brody last night.
Mm.
Is there a chance that this guy can get back a little bit of what he had prior to all this talk about what's wrong with him?
Yeah, there's a chance. I wrote today about their penalty kill. It's up on sportsnet.ca, and about how, the main pieces of what has been a successful penalty kill for them in previous seasons are there. Their top three penalty killing forwards last year, when they were 12th, was Marner, Kampf, and Yarncroc. We're still here. TJ Brody's their top penalty killing ice time guy. Justin Hall was in there as well. But, this guy is a huge piece of that, Kip. And it's part of the reason why their PK has stunk, because he hasn't been very good there either. So he's an important piece of development for them. Is like they're going to count on him. Giordano blocked a lot of shots over the years in the PK for them, and he's not there anymore. So
Justin Hall blocked a lot of shots for them, and he ain't there anymore.
Did they mention anything on Morgan Riley today?
They did. There's two updates, one on Marner and one on clip 11, Eric. There he mentions Morgan Riley.
Yeah, some will for sure. We think they just needed the day, and then some that we'll have to see where we're at tomorrow, both in guys that played last night and those that didn't. Morgan specifically. But yeah, we'll just have to see where we're at tomorrow with a couple things settled.
All right.
That was Morgan specifically on needing more time.
Said he's being extremely vague as usual.
Yeah.
But everybody
Oh,
needs
boy.
more time.
They better put him in bubble wrap after what we saw last
I
night.
got to tell you, they can't win without Morgan Riley.
No.
Oh,
They cannot.
wow.
No.
They put you on the radio with that day?
Well, listen, you can come in here and say they could win without it. Everett tells me it's about the core four.
Yeah.
Core four.
Yeah.
They can win without one of those guys. They
yeah.
cannot win without Morgan Riley.
In the playoffs, they can win without one of the core four guys?
Unlikely.
Yeah.
But
Well,
possible.
they can't win with
More
them. so.
possibly than
Yeah. I don't get the sense Edmondson's coming back anytime soon either.
What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know what's wrong with him, but I know he blocked a few shots in Washington, and I don't know. Deep bruise, a crack. I don't know.
Do you know?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't.
That's such a good question.
No, I don't.
Then why'd you say it?
Yeah.
I heard some things.
Because that's just the sense
Not
that I'm
telling
getting.
you what I know. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. So then he's gone.
Here you go.
You know
Riley-
how those things, they can heal in 10
Riley
days.
can't play.
10 days.
Marner's
Jeez.
still not available this week. Yarncroc, they haven't even given an update out. Our pets' heads are falling
They're
off.
resting.
Can
Oh,
we
my
get
God.
Jeff Galooly at a Mitch Marner's house or something? His ankle keep getting re-hit? What is happening? He's not
But,
available all week.
Listen, keep throwing them to the Lions here. All these kids, better. McMahon jumps in on a bad pinch, 12 games outside of the playoffs, so he can really drive in. You do that in the first round, we're done.
Yeah. Can we listen to the Marner update? Is that fine?
Absolutely.
Give me clips.
I think that the hope or plan was that we could get him going to be able to practice on Friday. I do not expect him to be available or even to consider him playing this week. But he looked really good out there today, and progress looks to be good. I think he's in a good place. We just got to continue to build him up.
The confidence on that some of these things you just mentioned, player health-wise, can smooth himself.
He looked good. They showed a
Another
clip
one.
of him.
Bubble wrap.
He was spinning off nobody, and
The question, if I was there and if Luke Fox is listening, I know he always is. If I was at the media availability today, if tomorrow's game was a playoff game, would Mitch Marner be playing?
but
And
does
that's the
that
question.
answer matter if they're not playing him?
Yeah.
You know,
Like
you
how?
just want to know where it's at.
I want to know where it's at. I feel like that's a good gauge.
I feel like yes is the answer.
Okay. Kipper?
Listen, he finished the game where he tweaked his
Yeah.
ankle.
They got
So-
medicine. They got all kinds of medicine that can make you play.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you need to play a game.
Tape an aspirin to it.
Yeah,
Let's
they'll
go.
tape all kind of aspirin right into your bloodstream, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get you going.
What are you suggesting, Justin?
Just saying, I think he'd be available.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, so
All right, we solved nothing this hour.
So the Red Hot Caps come to town tomorrow, who just got a massive win last night against the Red Wings.
can I just say a thing
And,
that
and
I
we're
feel
rather
like,
embarrassed by the Leafs a
Oh,
week
yeah.
ago.
yes.
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say that the Capitals did not want to make people available to us, it seems like today, and they may have heard our Capitals takes. That's what I think about Ovi and the record.
Don't lump me into that.
No,
That's
I mean-
all Sammy.
I'm the guy calling. I'm the guy texting. And I didn't hear a whole lot.
PR gone dark on us for some mysterious reason after our boy is rooting.
What have I said?
Listen,
I've never said one bad thing.
it is quite the story if they sneak in here.
Yes, it is. I mean, Spencer Carberry and Andrew Brunette should get a lot of Jack Adams love.
Yes.
I will say, I know you absolutely loathe this kind of thing, but for me, as a fan, it would be cool to see Matthews get 60 in front of Ovi.
Again, head to head. Maybe that'll motivate him next game.
Ovi will
unlike
have 4
last
tonight
night.
or tomorrow night. I'll get Ovi going.
Okay. Still hope, Leaf fans. Don't let last night discourage you or our first hour of the show.
We were really positive Monday.
Oh, my
Monday
gosh,
was our
were
most
we
positive
ever.
day of the year. So
And we completely
yin and yang, got to balance it
And
out.
then they lost 2 in a row in
And then
regulation. So what are you supposed
right
to do?
back. Okay, still plenty more on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. At the top of the hour, we'll welcome in Jason Bukala, former NHL head scout. He'll give us a rundown on Samsonov or Joseph Woll. Who should be number one when the playoffs start? That and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Let's get her going. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. This is our national hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. We are live on Sportsnet. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. All right, busy night in the National Hockey League last night.
Great night.
We had some real signature games, including the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets, where saw a few fisticuffs too.
Yeah. You saw Nurse get into it there.
With Dylan.
So Logan Stanley and Corey Perry have a fight.
Corey Perry's a big guy, in my opinion. And he looked like just a little feller.
Yeah. Logan Stanley, I feel like, needs to, manhandle a guy like that. It didn't necessarily accomplish it.
Corey Perry still just got that dog. Like, he just wants to fight still. It's like, how, like, aren't you getting up there fighting?
Or loves the game.
I know.
That fella.
Can you see it? A match up there? Like
Conference final right there?
Pretty even teams at the give the edge to a goaltending situation with Hellebuck.
Yeah.
The defense, the depth defense off of Winnipeg compared to Edmonton, or just run with McDavid and Hyman and Draisaitl.
I think in the history of the NHL, there is not a lot of stories, not none, but not a lot of stories where the team with the better elite guys doesn't find their way past the good, the Carolina Hurricanes 1-06 or whatever with a team group. But typically, Gretzky and McDavid Gretzky and Lemieux and go through the list. Those guys tend to get theirs. Crosby, Ovechkin, they tend to get theirs. I tend to think this Oilers team has that elite factor that's going to make them really hard to beat in a 7-game series.
I think the Golden Knights you could think of as more of a group. I think there's more the decor there. That would be the calling card, but they're definitely more of like the non-superstar team that got it done.
The Avs high end.
Yes.
Lightning high end.
I don't know.
I'm not going to make a lot out of the Montreal Canadian win over Colorado
Would
last
you if
night.
it was an Avs show?
For 1 hour? I could dissect that thing.
Well, they won 9 in a row. Eventually going to lose.
Yeah.
We have an idea of what teams can bring, but I think last night, with so many games on and marquee teams going at it like Winnipeg and Edmonton, boys, this thing's wide open.
Wide open. The Rangers win.
You do?
And
I do, yeah.
Buddy, they're the first team to clinch a playoff spot, and there's 5 teams within a point of them.
Last night, as I'm flipping around, I'm going, okay, there's a lot of teams with a lot of strengths, and it comes off the backs of their superstars. I get all of that, but man, everybody's also got some issues here and there.
Everyone. The top teams in the league, like there's no 2 teams where you're like, oh my God, like Rangers, 100 points, Dallas, 99, Bruins, 99, Canucks, 98, 97 for Panthers, 97 for Avalanche, 97 for Hurricanes. They're all within 3 points, 7 teams.
But I don't, wide open to me is like, I feel like there's only 4 or 5 teams that can win.
There's 7 teams within a point, and 3 of them you're going to rule out?
Yeah, I honestly, I think 8.
Can I quickly, I know we have Books, but can we quickly go through the top 10 teams? And if I'm going to offend some fan bases here. But the Rangers, they can win the Cup.
Yes.
Vancouver can win the Cup.
Yes.
Dallas can win the Cup.
Yes.
Boston can win the Cup.
Yes.
Florida can definitely win the Cup.
Yes.
Yes.
Avalanche.
Yes.
Okay, it's wide open.
Carolina.
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 Oilers.
Your Leafs,
And
the
then
Lightning,
are you cutting
the
it off
Knights.
at Leafs? You're cutting it off at Leafs?
Boys, I'm watching Roman Josi, and I'm like,
Oh my God, what a player.
he's unbelievable.
So would you like to talk yourself into the Preds yet?
Give me time.
Okay.
Ask me later in the hour.
All right.
Let's welcome in Jason Bukala, former NHL head scout writer for Sportsnet.ca Pro Hockey Group, and one of our favorites. Book, what's going on?
What's up, fellas?
Okay, so I don't know if you heard all our BS in the last 5 minutes here, but how wide open do you think it is once we start in April?
I think it gets less wide open than we believe. It is wide open. I guess it depends how you define it. Like, do you call it 16 teams wide open or like 8 or 10? Because I'm kind of in that.
Yeah, we're at 8 or 10 right now, which to me is a healthy number. That we're not talking about 1 or 2 that have stood out over 82 games to say, Oh, no, they're the team to beat.
Yeah, I agree with that. It feels like this isn't the year that a 16, like I don't think there's going to be like a Florida from last year. I know that it's that, win, get in, get a chance type thing, but I just don't feel like that. I'm with you there. Like, I think there's like 8 or 10 teams that, like Carolina looks so good. Nashville's on this heater that's ridiculous.
Okay, could Nashville, could Nashville play the part of Florida last year?
I guess I got to talk myself into that, right? Like, of course, because they feel good about themselves at the hardest time of year. They got 10 games left. Let's say they go 5-5, but do they really feel like, oh, we're slumping going into playoffs? We've already proven to ourselves what we can do. We can come from behind. Listen, can we send a shout out to Andrew Burnett here? Like, how great a job does this guy do as a head coach? Like, when he took over in Florida a couple years ago under, trying circumstances, he took that team, as far as they could possibly go. An argument could be made that he established sort of the culture, the beginning of what became the Florida Panthers today. And then, of course, in New Jersey, I'm sure they wish they could have him back. But what a job he's done in Nashville as well.
And then on the in the Eastern Conference, the Capitals are kind of Nashville in that, like, Spencer Carberry deserves some love for bringing this team from. I think a lot of us had them dead to rights a month ago, and man, the Caps are getting back into it.
The Caps looked like they were skating in mud at the end of October, middle of November. Like, they just looked like a slow team that wasn't really. They were very undefined. Let's just say, like, watching their power play breakout. Everybody drops it back to the speed demon off the rush. Like, that just was not part of their equation.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to today, fellas. 36% power play percentage in the last 20 games played for the Washington Capitals. 36% at this time of year. Pretty impressive. Obviously, they're right in the mix there. They could get in. And Spencer Carberry's done a fantastic job. The one thing that I notice about those two guys on the bench, like for bench bosses in today's day and age, they're not very demonstrative, are they? Like, they're just kind of low-key guys on the bench. They don't say too much to the press. They don't want the attention to be shelved on their shoulders. Both those guys have that in common as well.
We're talking to Jason Bukala, former NHL head scout, now writer with Sportsnet.ca, also with the Pro Hockey Group. So where do you want? You want to keep it in Canada right now? Is there anything in particular with Vancouver or we mentioned Edmonton and Winnipeg here, Toronto? What strikes out for you? I mean, the Leafs, is there a concern in the last 10 games that they can look so good Saturday night against Edmonton and then come back with a stinker against New Jersey?
Over the last 20 games, guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't know if there's something going on with my internet. I hope you still got me. But anyways, the Toronto Maple Leafs over the last 20 games have a 70% penalty kill ratio. I know, Borny, you ran something today, and I read it, and even on balance, reading it there, you tried to paint some positives and some negatives. I'm going to double down on it. Really concerned. Like, at 20 points or at 70% heading towards playoffs, we better see a significant uptick in their penalty kill percentage here down the stretch. And, I've broken down a bunch of numbers, and I'm starting to simulate, potential matchups and things. And, even at 23.3% over the last 20 games on the power play, we're talking about middle of the pack there as well. So some things got to give with Toronto. We need to hopefully get Edmondson back healthy, and we need the buy-in to be better defensively as a group, in their entirety. And I got to get this off my chest, though. Like, guys, I watched you guys on Sunday night at the Carolina game, like the broadcast you were doing. I was so tempted to start blowing up your cell phones because the egregious turnovers. I don't care how much possession we have in offensive time in the offensive zone and how we buzz around the perimeter and look good and even outchance our opponents like they did last night against New Jersey for the most part. It's the turnovers under duress or the most untimely turnovers in the most important parts of the game or most important sequences, last minute periods, beginning of periods, stuff like that. We really got to clean this stuff up. I was really happy to hear Sheldon call some guys out last night, and there's got to be a much more of a buy-in there because it's going to be a quick 10 days against teams like Tampa Bay. They're sneaking up on them. Guess what? The Tampa Bay Lightning, they've got that culture in the room. 84.3 on the PK, 28 points on the power play down the stretch here. These things become important in the next couple of weeks.
Books, do you think that NHL teams play differently on offense? Like, you're talking about the Leafs and throwing pucks away. I know that, like, in the analytics era here in the past 5-10 years, way more shots come from the slot directly in front of the net than they used to, right? You used to shoot from everywhere was like a mantra once upon a time. That to me bleeds into the Leafs game where it's like throwing hope plays into the middle because that's where you want to get shots from, and there's not always something there. There used to be more emphasis on ragging the puck and cycling and those things, and I'm not saying that's better, but it does seem to be how teams play now. Is that not fair?
I think it's really fair. And you know what? I actually think that there should be more room. Like, not the fancy thing that we all talk about now, guys, is like the low to high cycle, working off the wall, coming up top. And I think a lot of that is predicated too on how defensive zone coverages have changed over the years. Like when you're a man on man, if you could bring your check up top, work a switch, it might open up some space coming off the half wall. So I'd like to see more grind, more pure cycle, like a circle cycle, if you will, like when you work the corner and you work somebody until they can't do it anymore. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. And I think that there's some teams that do it still proficiently. Like, I still think that Florida can play that way. I think the Boston Bruins can play that way. And then they're going to slide something backdoor on you, like after they wear you out on one side of the ice. The Toronto Maple Leafs, though, they've got some try to get the puck to the middle, but I think you're bang on with the adjective hope. It's more hope sometimes, and sometimes those hope plays turn into 50-50s that more often than not in key situations of the game, it goes north against them, and it turns into high danger scoring chances against.
Books, we saw two guys join the 50-goal club this week in Sam Reinhart and Zach Hyman. When we talk about Austin Matthews, legit 50-goal scorer. Is this a one-off for those two guys? Are they now going to be looked upon as these pure goal scorers, or is this a career year for them? Like, what are your thoughts on these two guys moving forward to have that type of pressure to put the puck in the net?
Yeah. I think the league on balance is going to start to introduce more of these types of players. It kind of feels like we're in between right now, like the track meet style, and certain players go off every year. As long as Hyman continues to play alongside number 97 and go to the areas of the ice that Bourne was just talking about, he's going to find a lot of garbage at his feet, and he's willing to do that and compete for pucks and compete for space. So that's a great story. Obviously, he was a draft pick of ours in Florida. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the tampering that may or may not ever go in the NHL. But anyways, Kyle Dubas was his agent at that time. He ended up coming to Toronto. I got to know Zach personally over my time. This is just a great human being. So this is a nice story. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the result. Now, here's the Reinhart one. Let's get to it. There's this guy by the name of Jonathan Huberdeau that plays in Calgary, who was a pretty productive player, I would say even star player, when he was playing in Florida alongside a guy named Alexander Barkov. Reinhart's playing alongside Barkey for the most part now. I think Reinhart is similar to what Hyman's going to get in Edmonton. I think that if he decides to stay in Florida, he's going to recognize that, or he's going to realize this type of potential going forward. But, I just want to take the opportunity to speak to certain players that make people better around them. And Alexander Barkov has done that for Sam Reinhart as well.
That's great. That's really interesting stuff. I agree. The Barkov connection is a good one. You would know a lot about, a number of things that we don't know about here. So I'll check one off the list and get your thoughts on like top college free agents. We're kind of getting to that time of year. Do you expect any sort of movement from anyone from college into the NHL?
Yeah, I think that some guys are going to get a game and burn a year here, depending on what happens in the next couple of days. Colin Graff at Quinnipiac is a hot commodity. I believe that even the Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, Florida Panthers, he attended Florida Panther development camp a couple of years ago. I think there's going to be a lot of people swimming in those waters there. Some names to keep an eye on, though, that could come out of school, guys that are already drafted. And I'm keeping a close eye on this, and I'll tell you why. Like Lane Hudson at BU, the defenseman, who's the Montreal Canadian draft pick, 64th overall or something a couple of years ago. Love this kid. I mean, he's a power play quarterback, undersized, but he's a bulldog. Really, really good player. The Montreal Canadiens have an embarrassment of riches coming through the system on the back end right now. Something to keep an eye on, because there's only room for so many of them. And I'm curious to see, come towards the draft, for example, if some teams start to reach out to the Habs for to potentially add a player on the back end out of their depth pool there, to sacrifice even what appears on the surface to be a relatively high draft pick in this draft cycle.
Books, just to pick up on that, what are your thoughts about these kids coming out of college, playing a few games, and then jumping into the fire of a Stanley Cup playoffs? We saw that with Matthew Nyes with the Toronto Maple Leafs last year, and the hype that was around it to get him out of college and in a Leaf uniform. And he ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. But is this the best for them to take them from that environment to the pros and put them in situations where at times I'm sure it might feel a little overwhelming? You like it?
I think it's situational, Kyper, to be honest with you. I mean, like in Montreal, like, you're not a playoff team, so I see why you burn a year on Lane Hudson's contract. In the case of Nyes, I felt like he filled a need on the NHL roster, and that kind of speaks to the makeup of the organization at the time more than it speaks to what's maybe best for the player. So it's like, we have a need. This is the National Hockey League. This is our best option, and we got to plug them in there. I was sharing some literature back and forth with somebody last night that they're a little bit down on Nyes. And my return on that is that, we forget, and I think we do forget, when these guys come up and they go into playoffs, that's a heavy lift. Last year, he's super energized, coming off of losing a national championship in Minnesota. And, he does as well as he can do last year. But this is his first real tour in the league this year, all the rinks, all the travel, all the everything. And I'd like his offensive numbers to be better. But then let's look at the body of work. Like, 154 hits leads the Leafs forward group. And he's 21 years old. He's a rookie, and he's playing, up and down the lineup. And, I'd like to see 10 more points on the ledger, but he's also filling a need for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So my long answer here is that it's not the best scenario. It's not ideal. And it's not ideal, but it's situational. And it's even situational in Toronto. Ideally, Nyes would have had a year in the American League, and he wouldn't have had to go through all this. But we aren't afforded that luxury because we don't have the depth and we don't have the money to spend it otherwise to fill these types of slots.
So, Books, we're talking about NCAA guys there. There sounds like there's the potential for some movement in how players are eligible for the NCAA, could conceivably still play in the OHL and then go play NCAA hockey. What can you tell us about there, or your feelings about what could unfold if things change?
I know it's going to be an absolute mess. Yeah. It's going to be convoluted as all can be. The timing is going to be really important here. Like, if you put your, as you know, Bourne, like, the recruiting for next year at the college level outside of the portal right now, the transfer portal, it's done, right? Like, you're all set for next year. So you've already slotted X number of dollars. Now, if they were to vote before June of this year, and this becomes a strategy in the U.S., it's going to happen because they introduced nil in the U.S., as everybody knows. So, I mean, that eliminates a CHL player from being pro. They didn't let them go south because the per diem they were making. Technically, they thought that was like a pro athlete, which is ridiculous. But anyways, now they're going to have these kids potentially come south. I mean, think about this. What kind of effect is it going to have on the timeline for just the draft? So if we're drafting a player right now and he's a major junior player and he's on the clock for 2 years, and does that mean that I've got to sign him? But if he decides to go to college, does he go to my defected list? Do I get an extra 2 years on him for development? Like, that's just one example of how, from a pro perspective, it can hurt us. From an amateur perspective, there are some kids that they need extra time to develop. And so you're going to see these third line players potentially from the CHL go south of the border, earn some extra looks, maybe may take a little bit of extra time to earn a pro deal. But here's the real big problem. Tier 2 hockey in Canada, in my estimation, as a feeder system to the NCAA, is going to get knocked right on its rear end. Like, it's going to be a feeder system for more like Division 3 hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what the effect on the USHL has as well. So it's not an easy answer. It's a tough question for me to just kind of put in like a 30-second thing for you guys here. A lot of moving parts.
But it affects everybody in this feeding system towards professional hockey or college. So what happens now? Does the NHL get involved with the CHL and the NCAA? Do you get everybody in one room to say, how does this affect everybody? And let's find common ground here.
Yeah, the first question would be, Kyper, the clock, right? That's what it's going to be. So right now we have 3 clocks in order. So we have the NCAA route. So imagine a kid in the USHL gets drafted this year in this cycle, but he's going to Minnesota next year. He's on the clock for 4 years, okay? Just because of the way he's planning out with his strategy as an athlete. It's the same in Europe. And that's another thing I want to introduce to this. So, Tom Willander, for example, in Vancouver, the draft last year out of Sweden, he's playing at BU this year. He played at the J20 level in Sweden last year, not the pro level. And the reason for that is the NCAA doesn't let those guys play pro hockey in Europe and come over here because they're calling them pros, which they obviously are. Does that now mean that these kids can play in the SHL when we go over there and scout them? And will they be on the clock for 4 years and come over here to the NCAA? So I think the clock is going to be the biggest question, because if I draft a kid from the London Knights this year, let's say Easton Cowan last year, okay, the Toronto Maple Leafs draft him, he's on the clock for 2 years to get signed. If he's not signed, he's got a third year to prove himself, re-enter the draft, or he'll become a free agent at the major junior level. Holy jumping. Like, if they're not all on the same clock, how's it going to work?
Boy, that's complicated.
I don't even know if they've.
Oh, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's going to be a nightmare. And we're not even talking cross-border insurance, and we're not even talking about a CHL kid who had a school package. Hey, guess what, Mark Hunter? I'm going to go to Michigan now. Can I please have that school package for when I decide to go to university?
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot going on there.
Books, great stuff, man. As always, when you come on our show, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Books.
Anytime, fellas. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm in town tomorrow. I'll see you over there.
All right, beautiful. Love it. Sammy's all like, we should have had him in studio.
No, we're not here tomorrow.
We're not here. Oh, yeah. Oh, whoops, my bad. Sorry, Books.
What kind of producer are you? He's going to come over and look for us, and we're going to be home eating chips on the couch watching the Jays.
I'm actually playing golf tomorrow.
Oh, are you?
That's insanity.
Take
They were
me
snow on
with
the
you.
ground yesterday.
No.
Listen, I was just wanted to pick up on
Yeah,
it's a massive undertaking to try to change all of this.
Those knots.
And I talked to a couple of junior A teams, and they're like, it's going to take a while here. Nothing's going to happen anytime soon, is their sense, unless something's going on behind the scenes with some powerful people that are making decisions for a lot of people that don't know about it.
It's crazy, like myself having had to make a choice. Do I want to play WHL games in this exhibition season, but that'll kill my eligibility. So I'm going to choose junior A so I can go to college. I think it was a huge decision at 17 years old. Would have been nice to know I could have carried on even if I had played in the dub at the time.
They wanted you to play in?
What's that?
Was there teams that wanted you to play in the dub?
Yeah, well, my hometown team, the Kelowna Rockets, is a matter of should I play exhibition games for them or should I, risk losing eligibility? It was a big decision. Would I have made the team? I don't know.
Probably. You're good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean,
Can I pick up a little bit of the conversation we had with Books on Sam Reinhart and Zach Hyman?
And I thought you were going to say Barkov.
No.
I thought you were going to be like, he's so
really
underrated.
He's so good.
He's so underrated.
Yeah, I love him.
I love him. He's excellent.
You see them ever having another 50-goal season in their careers?
Hyman or Reinhart?
Yeah.
Boy, Zach Hyman does one thing like no one else, and that's get to the paint, baby.
Yes.
AJ McLean called him Shaq Hyman, because he gets to the paint.
Shaq Hyman?
Yeah.
That is awesome. I've never heard that.
And, I think he scored 44 of his goals from within an arm's length of the net. If he's still with McDavid and he's still in those parts of the rink, I can see it again.
That's the key, and no different with Barkov, with Sam Reinhart, is that it's one thing to go to the net, and it's another thing to expect the puck to be there when you're there.
To trust.
And those guys get the puck to the net.
They get there, and Barkov can get it there like McDavid can get it there. So I'm not ruling it out.
Would Zach Hyman be a 40 or 50 goal scorer if he stayed with the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Probably not.
I don't think 40 is out of the question.
No, you'd never get 40 with Austin Matthews shooting the puck.
What did he score here?
Like 20 something, I think.
21's is high here?
Yes. Yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
Right? You're not scoring 50 if you've got a 60 goal scorer as a centerman.
21 in 51 games. So that's a 30 goal pace. But
So-
40's a lot.
I absolutely depends on because if Reinhart resigns there, but to me, if he resigns there and Book's laid out beautifully, that you probably should.
Yeah.
You should take a little less and play there.
I think that's
great.
going to happen.
Why wouldn't you?
People are talking about, I was listening to a radio show today. They're saying he's $10 million. I'm like, I don't.
10.
Sam Reinhart, love him. He could score 55, 60 if he gets hot here.
Mm.
He does not want to be a $10 million player.
No,
He
you're
lo-
in big trouble when you're not scoring like that.
If he comes back to earth a little bit, you don't want to be that guy that it's a unmovable, turn his conversation into an unmovable contract, right?
Yeah.
So I think if he fits into 8.2, 8.5, which in many ways, like Stamkos, is the equivalent to 11 in Canada, you're gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Stay.
Yeah.
Playing with Barkov, why wouldn't you? Be awesome.
UFA and sign in Columbus and everyone mad at you.
Go to the rink in your flip-flops, go play golf. I saw a video of those guys all show up to the rink in golf carts. I'm like, what a life. Good God. They're all driving.
One reporter.
I know. They got to go
How come
talk to
everyone
George
wants to go
Richards every
there?
night.
Why does Tarasenko and Giroux say it's the only place they'll go?
Yeah.
Fill me in.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
It seems pretty good, but to answer your question, Kyper, I think they both could score 50 goals again.
Yeah.
With Connor,
For
Zach.
sure. Yeah,
why wouldn't you?
And God, I'd love
But
to
he
see what
won't if Connor decides to shoot the puck and put 60 back in.
Sure. It depends what Connor wants to do.
Depends what Connor wants to do.
But boy, his goal in the overtime last night was not a product of Connor. That was a gorgeous goal.
Yeah.
Hard work, gets it to the net, catches it on the forehand, puts it in. It was nice.
I know I used to say this all the time, but, having been the video coach with Hyman there, I've seen him at 1 a.m. on a bus between Utica and Syracuse watching his shifts in a game we lost, trying to figure out how to get better.
Wow.
This guy has committed himself to being the player he is now.
Love it. You guys want to do a game? We'll do a game time after the break.
Okay, we'll take a quick break, pay some bills,
Sir.
and when we return, our boy Sammy with game time. All right, Sammy. Quiet night after last night.
Yeah. Tuesdays busy. Wednesdays quiet for the more national games. Thursdays busy. Friday quiet. Saturday busy. Sunday. But your mic.
The night before you did really well. You hit a couple good games.
I can't remember.
You called underdogs and hit both.
I don't remember what I did last night. What did I say last night?
I don't know.
I got a tweet from somebody that's like, buddy, if I was fading your picks, I'd be a millionaire. I was like, thanks, pal.
I love that. That's so true. If you did the opposite of Sam all year, you'd be doing all right.
I liked it immediately. It's like, great tweet, buddy. Got me between the eyes. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So like you said, light night on the ice tonight. But I was looking at the to make the playoff odds, and they are obviously getting a little bit thinner here. But the Detroit Red Wings now, after their loss, have gone from a plus 650 underdog, a plus 260 underdog to make the playoffs, and a minus 350 to miss the playoffs. So, and the Washington Capitals, with their win last night, have gone from they're a minus 250 to make it, plus 200 to miss. So it's crazy that they're that big a favorite to make the playoffs after what they look like for most of the season. And even what they look like in the last time the Leafs played them. And Wilson gets suspended, and we're all like, they're done.
Stathletes has the Capitals with a 65% chance to make the playoffs.
Detroit needed a regulation win bad.
Detroit's down to 25% chance of making playoffs.
And Patty Kane ties it late. You think they're going to get some
a rocket too,
Like he
typical.
Yes, he's a point per game.
Yeah.
Pat Kane.
He is a point per game on a pretty middling team without a lot to work with.
Turns out he's Patty Kane still.
Well, what's that worth in the summer?
Great question.
I don't know.
This guy, every guy who's not on the Leafs is about to take a big discount. Is he really worth much? I don't know.
He's going to sign Tampa 8 years, $750K per.
He doesn't strike me as a guy that's just going to hold the Red Wings hostage on a contract.
His last one, he made 10.5 per for 8 years, right? He's probably doing okay.
So
you think he's staying there?
North of 100 mil. I don't think he picked Detroit to think that he's going to go play on two different teams in 2 years after spending the whole career in Chicago. He strikes me as a guy that I picked it, I liked it, I want to stay there.
And it's also like you could reach one hand and touch Buffalo, reach the other and touch Chicago. You know, like he's kind of in the middle of his homes there.
Anyways, I think he looks really good. And it's weird because he's a guy that wore a jersey his whole career. And then he went to the Rangers, and I never thought he looked right in that jersey.
That's because he stopped wearing red, and he's back in red.
And now he's wearing red? Yeah, wow. Big brain on you, right? You figured it out.
He wasn't healthy.
The old gerbil upstairs couldn't get it going for me.
He wasn't healthy. He knew he needed surgery. I wish he didn't go to New York.
Yeah?
Last year. And I said it.
Yeah,
I said he should shut it down.
Yeah.
He's got his cups. Don't chase. It's a hope pass.
And it was weird
to go to the New York Rangers.
It was weird. Remember all the stuff they had to do to fit him in?
Well, and also their power play didn't have room for him. There was no. They got Panarin and Zibanejad and all these dishers.
Did they trade for Tarasenko at the deadline last year too?
Yes.
I can't remember. Anyways,
That's right.
So 2 games on the ice, like I mentioned. Just an absolute barn burner in Buffalo tonight. The Sabres are taking on the Ottawa Senators.
Hey.
What?
That's his game.
I'm working.
Pump it up.
Oh, it's a great game between two
Pump it up.
teams.
It's our national game tonight.
Ottawa Senators. What's left? Can they
fight?
Come up with a plot.
Fight.
No, look, they are fighting for a lot internally. There's no doubt about that. To figure out who we keeping, who's staying, who's going, what are we, what's our identity. Who's a part of the solution? Who's a part of the problem?
Yeah, enjoy the game. Yeah, enjoy it.
I need to do well externally because internally it's going to be harder.
The Boston Bruins and Tampa Bay Lightning do play tonight, though, so that's a great game.
Yeah.
Boston, obviously, in the second half of back-to-back. The Tampa Bay Lightning are minus 115 on home ice. Bruins are minus 105 on the road. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning in that one. They've been hot. Bruins with a big emotional comeback last night, maybe a bit of a letdown spot tonight. And I think Tampa Bay is going to get them and get the 2 points, and we'll come in here we won't be on tomorrow, but we'll come in here on Friday and talk about how the Tampa's 2 points behind the Leafs.
Here come the Lightning. Make no bones about it. They have slowly creeped along my little sport logic chart to the good team part.
And Books just sent a chill down my spine talking about how he's like, their special teams rounded into shape at playoff time, and they're
Just
playoff
need
guys.
to play well, and they're as good as anyone.
God.
Is it?
I thought we were done with them.
I know.
Is it
we
a
killed them.
Toss-up right now for MVP for you?
You love Cooch.
I do like him, but
let me see if
just watching Nate McKinnon, I think somehow, some way, Tampa wouldn't hurt as bad if they lost Cooch than Colorado if they lost Nate.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. I mean,
for sure, he's essential. I am a voter, and I have twice voted for McKinnon in years he should win the Hart Trophy, and he didn't. One year, Taylor Hall won it because he had a good last couple weeks in New Jersey, and Wyshynski wrote an article that, like, the day everyone voted, and he won by, 9 votes. Terrible.
Yeah,
It was
because of-
McKinnon's year.
Because of the article?
I just know a lot of voters made a decision
Oh
on the
my
day this
God.
came out that
Ugh.
I didn't agree with.
New voters.
I know. Well, and then I voted for him another time when he didn't win. Anyway,
Vote for him again.
he's my guy.
Yeah.
So not like this isn't a lifetime achievement award. I think he's been the best player in the league, most important to his team, but
And our
he has to lose now.
Our beloved Bet365 agrees with you. He's a minus 350 favorite still. If you like Nikita Kucherov, he's plus 500. Connor McDavid has creeped up there to plus 550. Austin Matthews has fallen off the cliff down to plus 1,800, 18 to 1. So
Don't bet on that.
do not bet on that. Unless he scores, I guess, 10 in his next 10, get 70, then we can talk.
10 in
but
his
I don't
next
think
game,
that's gonna
maybe.
happen. Yeah. That was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Speaking of fisticuffs from Winnipeg and Edmonton, Bruins and Panthers last night, you know it was a good game when you don't see the go-ahead goal till about 2 minutes left in the hockey game.
And Lindholm kind of, sort of fought.
Yeah,
Bennett, not really, but kind of. He had the glove on because he couldn't get it off. But also Marchand fought Mikkola, and Mikkola's a monster.
Did he need a step ladder?
Yeah, it was one of those fights.
We saw an eclipse last night. Marchand actually dropped the gloves. Very rare.
This guy over here.
He wouldn't fight Domi, but he'll fight Mikkola?
He also didn't really fight Mikkola. But yes, he.
Bennett put Lindholm in the locker pretty good.
That happened.
It was not a great. It was not a great showing for him, but great game. Those two teams clearly quite good.
Sure wish they could play in the first round.
Yeah, that would be really. Can we figure out a way to do that?
Yeah.
So, did you want to do that Gensel clip?
Yeah, I think so. So Jake Gensel returns to Pittsburgh last night, gets a nice video. His wife's in the crowd holding their kid, having a tear. It was really nice. But when he left, it was all. I guess no one was really sure what was going to happen. But here's what Jake Gensel had to say about leaving Pittsburgh.
Jake, how awkward with the last few weeks here when you're hurt, you can't play, your name's out there. Was that a tough time in your life just kind of dealing with it?
Yeah, it's, you're not really sure what's going to happen, so you're kind of sitting there just watching and not being able to help. It was kind of tough. But yeah, I got a little bit of heads up that it's probably something was going to happen, and I just soaked in those last couple of days.
Was part of that tough aspect of it, like maybe you had wanting to stay here if you could have gotten a deal done?
Well, my intention was to stay, but they just thought there was a better direction to go a different way, and it's out of my hands, so it's not my choice.
My intention was to stay. It's out of my hands, not my choice. That's a big finger. He did it to Dubas. Is it not?
He wouldn't pay me $9 million for 8 years, so I couldn't stay.
You think that's what it?
I mean, we love to. I mean, we're in the news and notes portion of the show where we crap on Dubas, but he wanted all the money in the world, and we're going to give it to him for a rebuilding team. I'm not going to really blame Dubas a ton.
Everything's great.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Kippy?
I mean, I guess it depends what the ask is.
Chief Dubas blamer, Kippy?
No. I'm going to see if we can dig Dubas out of a hole a little bit here. He would be eligible to sign in the summer with Pittsburgh.
He would.
And one
if
of
his
the last
feelings weren't hurt, which they sounded a little bit hurt to me.
And the last question in this scrum was, would you resign in Pittsburgh?
And?
He's like, I play for Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say, yes,
But-
I look forward to doing it.
Yeah, can't wait to get out of here.
But could Kyle not look a lot better to his
Yes.
fan base
That would be unbelievable.
if he got assets for Gensel at the trade deadline and signed him?
That
in
would
the
be
summer?
unbelievable, truly. I would love a photo of the three prospects they traded for with Gensel on their
Buddy.
shoulders after he signed.
Kyle Dubas can go out in public again in Pittsburgh if he does that.
Yeah, but that never happens.
I know, but that's
When's the last time that happened? It was Aroldis Chapman did it with the Yankees when he got traded from the Yankees. It doesn't happen.
I don't disagree
Why
that it
doesn't
doesn't
it?
happen, but if Sid got involved and Sid wanted him back, you need something so Sid can look forward to being a Pittsburgh Penguin. Gensel would do it with a signing. Now, I don't know what that means. Like, who blows up? How do you do it?
It is crazy it
I
doesn't
don't know,
happen,
but
though.
that's Kyle's to figure out.
Like John Tavares on Long Island, if he says, all right, trade me and then I'm going to re-sign, how different is that legacy if he's on Long Island and they got to trade him for assets? It is a fascinating thing that we just don't see a lot of. But you're right.
Like literally never.
And
except for Rose Chapman.
please tell me that if there was ever a thought about it, Kyle would have had that conversation with Gensel and his agent. Listen, I got to move you. If Gensel's saying I had no choice, or that's just it was, I got to move you for assets. If I can get a crack at signing you again in the summer, I would.
What if it's this?
Could you not have given him a heads up that there is a possibility if I can create the room on the cap?
We'll give you 5 times 5 right now, but if you let us trade you and then re-sign with us, we'll give you 8 times 8. Come on back. It's the promise to come back for more. Those are terrible example of dollars, but you get the point.
You have to
hell of an agent.
You got to have a conversation with Sid, and it doesn't sound like there's been much conversations on the future of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that's what Kyle's going to have to do the moment this season's over. And by the way, I don't want to see Sid Crosby at the World Championships.
What?
Please.
Oh, my God. Who's talking about Sid at the World?
Oh, there's starting some rumblings.
Oh, is it McKee?
Oh, listen, they're missing the playoffs now, and everybody's starting to talk about Sid playing at the World Championships. I can't think of anything like, a championship. What do they even call it? A world championship? All the best players are still playing.
Hold on. Are you doing this to piss me off? Is this like a targeted attack?
It sucks. The world championship sucks.
Who watches
Sucks.
that?
I watch.
Send always Canada like Team F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but we haven't had many chances to watch anyone play for Canada.
Hey.
You don't care.
Hey. Get a DVD. Get a DVD of any Team Canada in the last 40 years and sit and have a box of popcorn. If it fills your needs.
Are you going to claim you watch or you follow what's going on in the world?
The World Championship? I watch every game.
What are you talking about? No, you don't.
I watch every single game. I do. I love Team Canada hockey. It matters to me a lot. I watch the World Juniors. I watch World Championship. I even sprinkle on the Spangler Cup sometimes. Like, I love because we don't get it. So we have to take all the opportunities to get it that we do. And you're telling me right now, if Bedard and Sid are playing on the same line for Team Canada, the World Championship, you're not going to care? Because that's offensive to me.
Listen, I'm fully
watching
Sam
World
at this point.
Championships.
I'll watch it.
Of course you will. Who wouldn't? You'd have to be a
I'll wait for the highlights.
Oh, my God, Kyper. You're the worst.
I really want to go hard on this, but, I get it. It's cool.
It's a collection of
no
losers during the regular season. During the regular season.
I actually used to call it
if you're not
Danny
winning,
Memorial Tournament.
if you're not in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you'll have had a losing season.
You know who used to...
First, I see.
You know who Spezza used to crush that tournament after the Leafs put him out in the first round, or he was out. Heatley.
At the end of the day, the guys, if you're going to have a good time. You're going to,
I think don't guys go to juice their resumes so they can get picked for the Olympics?
Did you hear Billy Guerin? He was kind of leaning on a lot of the U.S. guys. Hey, you want to be in the Olympics? You better show up for this thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. That's good management. You want me to help our team win? Let me lean on the boys.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Like, Pat Kane's in Detroit
Jack
going,
Hughes.
if we miss the playoffs, I won't play in the Olympics because Bill Guerin told me to show up.
They're picking him regardless.
They bet.
Right.
No, you know what? Sid's eligibility for the Four Nations face-off hinges on him showing up.
It might for the Olympics, though, pal.
No way. He's
2 seasons from now?
I'll tell you right now, captain.
2 seasons from now, right?
Yep.
Is it? I'm asking legitimately.
2026.
So next year's.
I can't see him falling off to the point where I don't want him on the Olympic team.
Doesn't matter if he falls off.
Either.
He's the captain.
He's going to be a point per game guy this year. If he's a 58-point guy, he's still.
If they miss the playoffs next year, he could retire.
Wow, dark.
No, he's not going to retire before 2026. He wants to play on that Canada team with Sid, with McKinnon. Yeah.
Have you watched his body language lately?
He's not going to retire before he has a chance to play with McDavid on the Canada team. Come on, boys.
He just texted Kip and said he would.
Come on. Josh Doan.
Josh Doan, what a moment. In Mullet Arena, scored a...
Okay, we're trying to make this a good story, so keep the Mullet Arena out of it.
Okay. in an arena. There was a shot, and he batted it out of the air, backhand into the net. They cut up to Shane Doan, who was just like dad moment. He's beside himself. He's
really
hugging
fun.
people. A couple of tears. It was awesome.
No, he didn't take his shirt off, did he?
Well, so he scores a second goal in his first game, which, by the way, Doan also scored the first goal at Mullet Arena for Arizona State University. But anyway, scores 2 last night. And then Doan is there beside a guy who's tarp off, and he's built like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, who was that guy?
I don't know.
He must be the strength and conditioning coach for the
WWE?
or some, the ASU or whatever. I don't know. But he was jacked.
That was a lot of dude.
Bit of a barrel chest.
Yeah, jeez. That's a lot of chicken breasts to get built like that. That's all I got to say.
My salad,
God asked the
I have one every
question one
day.
man once said.
A great moment.
Love it.
Yes, I meant. Yes, great moment.
For a great franchise that will be there forever.
All right, and some news
No takers.
that the Washington Capitals aren't going to Virginia because they cut a deal with DC.
Yeah, but how is this even a conversation? It sounds like the lease that Leonsis had was till like 2047.
Yeah, no. They got something new, and they're going to get upgrades on the arena.
Oh, DC made some concessions.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what you call
leverage, huh?
Negotiations.
Teddy's been through it a couple times.
You got to watch my episode of Our List I did like 30 years ago. I was the whole episode's about the threat of a hockey team leaving town
If
and
there's a
using
place
leverage.
I can watch this, I will. Do you
What
do
is
words?
this? What is this?
An old soap he's in.
No, not an old soap.
What the hell is Artless?
Artless is a show in the late 90s on
Our
HBO.
guys at the Legion right now are like, yeah, Artless.
The Legion boys are lighting
It's
up.
on Crave.
Oh,
you can
okay.
find it on Crave.
Is your
Okay.
episode on Crave?
Yes.
Do you
Oh
do
my God.
words?
Buddy, they were so impressed with my first take, they invited me to stay the next day.
Is that right?
No.
I was in with Stella Stevens, which is like a 1960s actress,
Yeah.
and Kobe Bryant was my
Really?
episode.
What?
Yes.
As a baby?
Kobe was just out of, I think he was with the Lakers by then, and just out of
So hold on.
Italy playing professional basketball.
Were you hanging out with Kobe, or is this
I
part
did
of the
not,
episode?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kobe was a separate episode.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I'm so confused.
I know.
as to what
Yeah.
this
While
is.
we're doing athletes in shows, my wife and I were watching Oppenheimer this weekend. And is Sean Avery
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and he's also
in Oppenheimer?
He's also in the other one that guy did. The other weird one where everyone's like running backwards.
Oh,
Tenet?
that's-
Is that a thing?
No, I don't know.
It's a thing, but
Is that he's also in that one?
Can we get back on me?
yes. Is there more? But Sean Avery being an Oppenheimer fully took me out of the movie at a pivotal time in the movie.
I'm going to give you guys like a week to hunt down my episode on our list. It's called What About the Fans? And you got to watch it. And then I want to report. All right?
Are we going to watch our list, Sam?
Sure. I am Googling this.
All right.
We're not on tomorrow. Blue
Oh, yeah.
Jays, 4:10 first pitch.
Sammy,
the season starts.
Are we any
Blue
good or
Jays.
do we suck? Give me a rundown of the season.
Okay,
Hit the
we
form.
don't have much time. Pitching's a little banged up heading into the season. The front office is betting on some positive regression from some of the hitters. Like the top four, worried about the bottom half. Need Varsho to be better. Need Justin Turner to be really
right.
good.
Roger Center looks great.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. We're off tomorrow and back Friday. Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.